Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Building a Nation with Team Canada. And today we have for you the 2023 Major League Soccer Preview Show, our annual show that we do to look in at Major League Soccer and to see all the comings and goings, the ins and outs, the players and the teams to look out for in the 2023 season. So let's get started. Let's get right into it. Usually, we like to start with the season preview, see what the media has to say, what their predictions are for the season. They're predicting a bit of a wild card here. New York City FC is who they're predicting as the champions. Now, it's not like they've been nowhere. They were in the playoffs the last couple of years. It's just they've had a lot of trouble getting by Atlanta United and, of course, New York Red Bull. So they've got some issues there in the Eastern Conference, but we'll see if they can overcome this year and win the league. Speaking of Atlanta United, they are once again predicted top of the league, 5-2 odds for Atlanta United to win it. Very strong Eastern Conference this year. Toronto FC is 4-1, finishing second place. And then we got a couple of Western Conference teams, Seattle and LAFC, both of them perennial contenders. Definitely, I would put them up there. Seattle is sometimes up and down, but for now, we can consider them to be fairly stable the last few years. New York, Red Bulls, then Houston, then their pick to win it all, New York City, 20-1 odds in 7th place. That's interesting. So I guess they're predicting they're going to make the playoffs and then go on a run and win the MLS Cup. That's probably what they're thinking. LA Galaxy, team that won the Western Conference playoffs last year, 22-1 odds. RSL, FC Dallas is in there, San Jose, all the way down. We got a couple of Canadian teams here. Montreal, 750-1 odds, and Vancouver, 850-1 odds. And then we have sort of the usual suspects at 1,000-1. Chicago, Columbus, Orlando, Minnesota, and Cincinnati. Those teams seem to regularly be at the bottom of the league. I think last year they picked Vancouver 17th, and, that was pretty far off. Every year they pick us way too low, but that's kind of our own fault. We do it to ourselves. Anyway, can get back perhaps. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Season preview. So let's get to the Media Dream 11, predicting Angus Gunn from FC Dallas to be the goalkeeper. Take a look at Gunn here. Pretty decent player for sure, 6'5", very good aerial reach, one-on-ones. I mean, he's a fine goalkeeper for MLS. Came in last year from Southampton for $2.1 million. Allowed 16 goals in 11 games, though. That's pretty bad, actually. So he's going to need to improve on that if he's going to be an all-star quality player. Kamar Lawrence on the left, still with Atlanta United. That's right, he moved there a couple seasons ago. Of course, Justin Glad, sort of a rock at central defense. He's moved to Atlanta United. How about that defensive pairing for Atlanta United? No wonder they're predicted number one. Carvajal from Chicago. More of a defensive midfielder, 22-year-old Colombian. I'm pretty sure we've looked at this guy before. Pretty strong, pretty good player. Came in last year for $1.8 million. Had a decent year. 2 goals, 6.91 rating. But again, he's going to need to up his game if he's going to actually play at all-star level. Murillo, another constant, the Panamanian international at right back. Martinez. So Atlanta United has this whole left side covered right now. He's another perennial guy for the all-star team. Then Sergi Darder, 29-year-old Spaniard for Seattle. This is a new dude. He's pretty good. He's definitely a playmaker type. 17 vision, 16 passing, 16 off the ball. I mean, his technicals and mentals are very strong. His physicals are very average, but he more than makes up for that in these other areas. Came over from Liverpool this year, $11.25 million. I'm going to assume that that's the largest transfer this year, but we shall see. We'll look at the transfers in a minute. But he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders coming in with that amount of money coming in from Liverpool. He's going to have all of Seattle, all the MLS looking at him. Andre Horta from LAFC still there. Lamela from Atlanta United. So another Atlanta United player. That's 4 now in the lineup. Abraham from LA Galaxy. He was hurt. It seems like to me he was hurt quite a bit last year. Or at least whenever they played against us, he seemed to be hurt. Take a look at... no, he played 34 games last year, so I guess I just didn't notice him that much. Had 11 goals, 6 assists, 6.91 rating. He's off to a flying start this year. 1 appearance, 1 assist, 7.0 rating. Good for him. And then, finally, Palumbi. Simone Palumbi, forward. Another player for Seattle. So you can see why Seattle is looking pretty good this year. Again, very good. Very well-rounded player, let's put it that way. He came in 4 years ago, $4.1 million from Italy. So just a guy who's finally worked his way up into the Dream 11. Now, speaking of transfers, been quite a few transfers this year, obviously. Total spending for the league, $38.76 million. Kind of small compared to other leagues for sure, but you know what? MLS, they're very thrifty. Seattle, the number 1 spender at 12.57. 5 players in, 0 players out. So Seattle stocking the roster. New York Red Bull, on the other hand, 1 player out for $5.78 million, and that's it. Let's take a look at the largest transfers. There's Sergei Darder from Liverpool to Seattle. Michael Kremenchik from Sporting to Orlando City for $9.5 million. Look at Orlando City spending some cash. Michael, Czech player, a striker, winger type player, 15 finishing, heading off the ball, so he's a poacher type dude perhaps. Big, strong guy, 6'2", 15 strength. You know, not the fastest guy in the world, but he's okay. Valued at $7.5 million, so maybe they overpaid a little bit. They're giving him a generous salary at $6 million a year, so they're gonna hope he gets some goals. He's got a 3-year contract, so he's got 3 years to get a lot of goals. Emmanuel Dodge, anyway, from New York to Cagliari, $5.75 million. So that's where New York got all their money from. Toronto sold Keith Dougal to Reading for $4.3 million. 29-year-old Australian. Okay. I guess if this guy wants to go to Reading, that's fine. Sure. Why not? Let's see. Who else do we got here? Colombi from Atlanta to Fulham for $3.2 million. Colombi, 31-year-old goalkeeper. Yeah, he's okay. He's pretty good. Wouldn't bother playing him in goal. Anyway, here's an interesting one. Fabian Massa to LAFC, $3.2 million. Left winger, 19-year-old Argentinian. A lot of speed and agility. You know, very good physicals. Mental's just kind of okay. He does have 15 determination, 14 leadership. That's good. He's not very good technically. Not at all. He's what you'd call, I think, below standard in terms of technicals. And, you know, especially if you're going to pay that much for him. But this is a project. I don't know that LAFC does a lot of projects, but we'll see. We'll see if they have patience with this young man, this young 19-year-old. Got some trades for Vancouver, of course. Cincinnati brought in somebody from Hammarby, Niels Froling, 22-year-old Swede, striker, winger. You know, okay, it's pretty good. 6 foot tall, 15 off the ball. He's sort of solid. You know, his technicals, leave something to be desired, but he's okay for a 22-year-old. It's pretty good. Chicago brought in Luis Mario Grimaldi, 19-year-old Brazilian right wing. Here you go. This is a prospect. Great crossing, first touch, stamina, balance. Yeah, he's pretty good. You know, for $2.4 million, 19 years old, 3-year contract. That's a pretty good pickup there for Chicago. Toronto sold off a guy to Santa Fe. Juan Romero coming into Colorado, $1.3 million. Attacking center mid, 20-year-old Colombian. Very fast. Yeah, this guy's pretty good. Passing. Again, technicals aren't terrific, but they're pretty good. Mental's pretty good. Physical's very good as well. So just a lot of nice moves this year for MLS. Just a lot of people, ins and outs. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Coaches. We looked at coaches at the end of last year. Oh, there's been one move. James O'Connor from Portland. Well, actually, has joined Portland. What's this all about? We just looked at Portland's head coach. And no, that's not it. History. Good for them. They won one MLS Cup. Head coaches, that's what we're looking at. Greg Berhalter, after 1 year, 199 days, resigned from the role on December 2nd. So just at the end of last year, he resigned. It's kind of a strange time of year to resign because normally you'd make it past the point of getting fired, and then you go on to the next year, but it looks like he resigned. I mean, it's an okay time to resign. It's before all of the drafts and before the transfer window opens, so I guess that's a good time. If you're going to resign, it won't leave the team in a lurch. But what did he do? Where did he go? He went nowhere. He's a preference to be a head coach, but has no plans. So I guess he's just going to hang out. And, I don't know, retire? He's only 49 years old. Seems a little bit young to retire. So I guess he just got fed up with the West Coast, and we'll see what he does. But now they bring in James O'Connor, 43-year-old Irishman, formerly of Louisville and Orlando and then Toronto last year, and now this year coming to Portland. Okay, he's a pretty decent coach. He's improved over the years. He's up to 3.5 stars now as a head coach. Not very technical, but you know what? He's a good motivator, determination, discipline, decent judging of players. So, yeah, he can do the job for you. And he is definitely entrenched in the coaching carousel. Every year, or every couple of years, he gets fired and then gets a new job. So, welcome to the carnival, my friend. Don't want to go too deep into all this off-season stuff, but definitely want to show you around the league. Give you a look at everybody. Going back to Vancouver, we got a couple of things to look at, namely the competitions. So the board has finally come through, and you saw where we're predicted in the league. We're predicted pretty low in the league, and the board has likewise some low expectations. They just want us to be competitive. This is very rare for a club this mature. Like we've been coaching here for 4 years, 5 years, and all they expect is be competitive. It's interesting. The way we've managed the roster has really affected perception of the club, and that perception has really affected the board. So it's kind of weird to be able to manipulate the board that way by just saying, okay, if we get rid of all of our best players in the offseason, the club will have low expectations and the board will have low expectations, and then we can do whatever we want during the season. It's kind of weird. But anyway, Supporter Shield, they just want us to finish mid-table, which is definitely doable. And then Canadian Championship, reach the final. So that's our real focus, is we have to be a little bit more competitive in the Canadian Championship. And I want to do that anyway because I need Champions League games next year for all of our young players. We need more games for our young players to play in at a higher level. So as far as the schedule goes, you saw most of these results in the last video where we beat Phoenix 5-0. Then we came back, we beat Miami FC 6-1 in a friendly. And that sort of ended our preseason, and now we face DC United, 6th in the league last year. Pretty good. Got a pretty decent team this year. Shall see. They got a red card. Hairston is suspended. But looks like they got a lot of their starters coming back. Areola, Ibarra, you look at the star ratings, they're pretty good in the midfield and up front. Looks like defensively is where they got some issues here. Elbum, Sternberg, Murphy. I don't know if this is their preseason lineup. Looks like they've got a lot of interesting guys on the bench. They got PC on the bench, Philippe on the bench. Yeah, looks like they got a lot of pretty decent defenders on the bench. Szymanski. So that's probably their preseason lineup, not necessarily their starting lineup. I guess we'll figure that out in our first match. So look at the opening games for this year, 2023. Houston, New York City, Portland, Philadelphia, San Jose, FC Dallas. That's a big one in the Western Conference right off the bat. Orlando, Columbus, Cincinnati, Seattle, New York, Colorado. Atlanta United. See if they can live up to the hype against Real Salt Lake. Vancouver, DC, New England, Sporting Kansas City. So a lot of cross competition rivals here. East Coast versus West Coast, Eastern Conference, Western Conference. And let's get to our game today versus DC United. We didn't have a lot of roster moves, excuse me, a lot of roster moves since the last game that we played, since the last video. We did cut one player in the waiver draft, but that was fairly inconsequential. So we got our first results here. Houston over Portland, 2-3, or Houston over New York City. So there goes the supposed champ right away. Who's this? Is this Diego Rossi? When did that happen? No, Alessandro Rossi. Okay, I was going to say, I don't remember Diego Rossi going there, but perhaps. Yeah, so Rossi's been there for a few years. Played pretty well. You know, very well, actually. 14 goals his first year, 15 goals last year. Already setting the pace with a goal this year in their first game versus New York City, so that's pretty good. And then Philadelphia beats Portland 1-0. Okay. So Houston, you know, they're always a team to watch out for in the Western Conference. And we're going to have to do that again by the looks of it. Okay, how far away? I mean, it says we're on the day. So let's get to our game. Come on. You know this happens every time. I should know this happens every time. I just got a text. That was a very, very loud text. Yeah, okay. That's no good. All right, let's pause it here and get to the game. Okay, here we are. We're back with the game preview. DC United versus Vancouver Whitecaps. Pretty even series. 2 wins apiece with 1 draw in the middle. So this is sort of the tiebreaker of the series. DC United is favored 6-4. Both teams got a lot of injuries and stuff going on. They've got suspension. We've got an ineligible player. We got a couple of injuries there. We got several injuries, but all of our injuries, and it looks like most of their injuries, are to minor players. So that shouldn't be a problem. And of course, we saw this last year. Diego Maradona, head coach at DC United. You know, he's still pretty good. He's still an interesting character. His adaptability, determination, discipline, mental. You know, he likes to play those mind games. Motivating is still an issue. Tactical knowledge is still definitely an issue. He's very poor when it comes to tactics, but, you know, he likes to play those mind games. Let's see, where did DC finish last year? Go to DC United, perhaps. DC United finished 9th last year in the Supporters' Shield. Or is that 6th last year? Yeah, 6th last year. 9th is where they're predicted this year, so we'll see how they do. Anything else going on this game? Let's get back to it. I'm a little discombobulated right now. Here we go. 19:30 kickoff at Audi Field. 693 tickets sold out of 20,000. Breezy and 55 degrees here in March. Okay. Not much else to go on. Let's go. Let's get to the lineups. So we're going to start out the season with the Z formation. I thought about changing it up and trying some new formations, but so far this is what we've got the personnel for, so it's kind of hard to change it up. Let's submit that team. Got a couple of guys lacking match sharpness coming out of the preseason, but you know, It's our new preseason philosophy where we try to train more and play less games. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, here is DC United's lineup. So Everson, PC is on the left, making his debut apparently. Where'd PC come from? He came from Minnesota in a trade. Had 25 appearances last year, 4 assists. Okay, it's pretty good. Elbaum, the youngster, making his debut as well. 2.5 star Luke Elbaum. He looks pretty good. Jumping reach, strength, determination, marking, tackling. Heading is a big weakness for this youngster, unfortunately. He came from the Super Draft this year. So, taking a Super Draft player, throwing him right in there with Szymanski, Zuki, Fernando Zuki. Pretty good looking player. 4.5 stars. Very solid mentals. Pretty good technicals. Okay physicals. Came in last year for $3.9 million from Argentina. Okay. Interesting. Louis Philippe in there. Kurtic making his debut. Yasmin Kurtic. A lot of determination, a lot of mentals and technical abilities. Take a look at his career stats. Came from Italy for $300,000 this year. Didn't play much at all last year, so he was probably just looking to get out of Italy. So a lot of changes this year for DC United. Up top, though, Krejci, Areola, Blondell. So some familiar names in there, of course. Canus as the team captain. Meanwhile, we've got some new starters, but not necessarily new names, especially if you're familiar with the Canadian national team. So we got McGee in goal. Still, a lot of people came after him in the offseason. We got him a new contract. He's making $2.6 million now, so he's a highly paid player. But in order to do that, or the reason we did that was to get rid of his fee that he could have left on a fee. So get him out of there. Slatkovic on the left, Nerwinski on the right. Dunn and Hakkinen are going to be our starters now. Dunn making his debut for us. He's got a nice little picture there, so good for him. Norman and Tibert in the midfield. Tibert, we've got his replacement in the wings. There's no question about that. It's just a matter of how long is he going to hold on. As long as he holds on to his Team Canada position, we'll keep him in there. But once he loses that, we'll sort of get rid of him. Timoteo on the left. Venuto still holding on at the right. His days might be numbered here as well. We got some young right wingers that need to go in there. So if he doesn't join Team Canada, same for Nerwinski. If he doesn't join Team Canada, they're both going to be out this season. Schmidt Schoem and our new big signing, Marco Pantaleone up top, making his debut. Guy we plucked from obscurity, and we're going to make him our starting striker this year. Good idea? Probably not, but we're going to do it anyway. 2.5 star potential, 3.5 star, maybe even 4.5 star potential. We'll see. He needs to get training better, as does our whole team. We need to, get our training regiments in order. His determination's going up. That's good. Pros and cons. He's a little inconsistent. Doesn't see the full picture yet, but he does score goals. He's scored a lot of goals in the preseason. Had a hat trick in our last game against Miami. His ability to do unexpected. He's got a fair amount of speed. Yeah. So he's good. He's a good player, and we're hoping he's going to be a goal scorer for us. And if not, we're going to find somebody who is. That's the mantra for this year. Find goal scorers. All right, I'm expecting you to win tonight. Nope, they didn't really care for that. The board and everyone else has low expectations, but I don't think my expectations have particularly changed. It's any team would miss players. It's expectations are to make the playoffs and to win the Canadian Championship. That's our expectations for this year for Vancouver. Don't know our expectations yet for Team Canada because we don't really have any of our competitions ready. So I don't even know what competitions we're going to be in, much less how we're going to do. So we really need to figure that out. All right, here we go. First highlight, Venuto sends one across. Not a great cross, but Timoteo tracks it down. Norman's going to reset. Look out wide to Venuto. He's going to take it himself this time. Not quite on target. All right. Trying to do two things at once here. 2 shots apiece. Let's go. Let's get some forward momentum here. We've got 61% of the possession, or we had it just momentarily ago. 87% of our passes completed. That's good. We got a lot of veteran guys in there by now, at least by our standards. Really, our only big change was at central defense, Dunn and Hakkinen. And, you know, they should be capable. They should be ready to play. I don't think there's anything wrong with these guys. Dunn needs some technical work. He needs this to be going the other direction instead of down. Definitely needs to be going up. But other than that, he's good enough, and hopefully he'll get better at 22 years old. He's got to play. He's got to play now, and he's got to improve, or we're going to find somebody else. That's, you know, ooh, look at that little sneaky back heel. Zuki just crushes through the defense and scores. What was that? Awful defense. The lane just parted for him. It's not like that was that tricky. It's like, oh my God, he backheeled it. Krejcik. Oh, look at that. Who saw that coming? Apparently not our defense. Who's this? Who are you? You didn't get to see him. Didn't like that. It was not that tricky of a play. He just took the ball and sliced through the defense. So just as we were talking about our defense, I mean, I don't know that that was necessarily our central defender's fault because, you know, it was on a set piece, but still. Here we go, another set piece. PC sending it in. Areola. Wide open on the back post. Nobody covered him. And McGee, with the second goal, he couldn't stop. First one, I guess you can't blame him if they let a guy run up on him. That one, he got a finger on. He could have punched that one out. Just a little bit of a late reaction. Couldn't quite get there. Okay, boys. Down 2-0. We have a sort of a bad habit of starting off seasons like this. Not just losing, but losing badly in the first game. Might have to change things around, unfortunately. All right. Dressing room. Pep talk. Let's be assertive. Expect to see a much better half. Is there any sort of analysis we can do here? All right, Krejcik. We will do that. Short passing play, I guess. I mean, what else? What do we have to lose? So we'll start the second half, and then we will do those things. So we'll close down on Krejcik, and then we will pass the ball slightly better. I mean, we already had 52% of possession, so we're just going to keep the ball more. Might play right into their hands, honestly. If they want to just sit on this 2-0 lead, they might be happy to just give us possession and let us do whatever it is we're doing. We got 12 shots, 13 shots. So maybe that means we should be working the ball into the box. Here we go. T-Bert. Free kick. Yes, on target. Eye for an eye. They get a special teams goal. We get a special teams goal. T-Bert. First goal of the season. Vancouver is on the board. Nice. Right under the crossbar. Everson can't get there. There we go. 1 goal back. Coming up to the 60-minute point. Hakkinen's not playing too well. Here's Timoteo. Shamit Shom's got a little bit of space. Great pass to T-Bert. T-Bert's got Timoteo on the wing. Timoteo fires it. He could have crossed that. He had a couple of guys waiting to pounce if he had just crossed that. Highlight continues, though. Zlatkovic with the throw-in to Norman. Timoteo again. I feel like he's going to be our playmaker out there. Zlatkovic gets it in there. Can't get it to Pantaleone. T-Bert. Ooh, almost got his second. Highlight continues, though. T-Bird again. They're just going to keep feeding him the ball. You got a guy who's hot, you give him the rock. And that's what they did. So there we go. Tied it up. We'll take that for sure. Again, just T-Bird tries a volley. Great save, great recovery here by Timoteo. Norman, he knows where to get the ball. T-Bird just waiting for it. Tees it up. Puts it home. Look at that, 18 shots, 8 on target. T-Bird with a 9.1 rating. Every time we talk about replacing one of these old midfielders, they have like the game of their life. So I guess I should just talk about that every episode. All right, boys. 73 minutes. So our two wingers are not playing very well. Venuto and Timoteo. I think we'll take Venuto out. Bring in Darren Sr. See if he can use some of those striker instincts. We don't really have a great replacement for Timoteo. So let's go. Okay. 78 minutes. Let's go attacking. Let's give the boys a shout here. Let's tell them to get creative. 89 minutes, 4 minutes of stoppage time. Yeah, 2 minutes to go. Minutes to go. I guess DC's just going to sit back and hold out and wait for the draw. Okay. Not an incredibly exciting... Well, I mean, we did get 2 goals apiece. But you know, you'd like a win. You'd like a win to start off the season. I guess it's good that we didn't fade away. I mean, look at that. 26 shots. They had 8-5 on target. So they had a couple of really good chances. We had a lot of chances and just didn't quite finish them. Even though 2 goals is usually good enough for us to win, it's just DC got a couple of lucky goals. So we'll put it down to that. Not necessarily the fact that we changed out our central defense and gave our goalkeeper a big contract. Can't possibly have anything to do with it. So, I'm going to look on, see what we got going on the rest of the season here. We got the March waiver draft coming up. Not real excited about our possibilities there. We do have a little bit of space on the roster this year. Got 2 spots available on the roster this year. We didn't need to carry necessarily a big roster this year because we don't have Champions League. So, you know, we got a lot of guys out on loan as usual, but I just didn't feel like we needed a full, 22-man starting roster like we do when we play in Champions League. So we're fine this year. We might pick somebody up if there's like a Canadian available in the waiver draft, but if not, we'll just continue on. So schedule-wise, there's not a lot to look forward to. Canadian Championship is very late in the year. Doesn't start until July. So no Champions League. So we'll probably have to look to the Canadian national team for our next game. We got some March friendlies, Puerto Rico and Grenada. And then hopefully by then we'll have some competitions to look at. So until then, until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.